The man cut open the client's abdomen, took out the artificial organ, rinsed it clean with water, and put it in a plastic bag. The client, lying on the ground, was tossed aside like trash. But not only did he not have to bear any legal responsibility, on the contrary, because the client had defaulted, he had to pay a heavy compensation. In the future world, tens of thousands of patients would take out loans to buy artificial organs, using them to extend their lives. But the rich did not need loans at all, and could even replace organs constantly, pursuing immortality. Once the poor could not repay the huge loans, federal companies would send repo men to take back the artificial organs and return them to the company for recycling. Since Frank started this job, he understood that some people seemed alive, but were already dead. In this era of collusion between officials and businessmen, what determined life and death was never the law, but the capital that produced artificial organs. Frank's wife always felt that his current job was too unethical, and that he would eventually face consequences. She wanted him to change jobs. Though Frank agreed verbally, he was reluctant to give up the high salary of a repo man. In his view, he was simply following the rules. It was the federal company that truly decided others' fates. He never imagined that one day, he would also become a victim of this system. One day, while he was hosting a party in his backyard, his colleagues suddenly received a task call, saying a collection operation needed to happen immediately. And because the defaulter had more than one artificial organ, this job came with double commission. The headquarters arrest team was also heading to Frank's home. Though Frank did not want to work at his doorstep, the high pay tempted him. He agreed to lend his tools to Jacob. Jacob then went to the door, and a taxi soon brought the defaulter. Jacob did not hesitate, and immediately began the collection process on the client. When Frank's wife walked out of the living room, she happened to see this scene. She instantly lost control, and without explanation took their son and got into the car. At that moment, she was completely disappointed in her husband. She could not accept that the person she loved could so easily take a life, right in front of family and friends. She gave Frank an ultimatum: either quit the job or get a divorce. Frank tried to defend himself at first, but his wife would not listen, and left with their son. The party ended on a sour note. Realizing he would lose everything if this continued, Frank decided to go back to the company and talk about a transfer. But Jacob obviously did not want him to quit. They had once been best brothers, and now Frank was leaving their duo because of family. Jacob could not accept it. In the car, he deliberately talked about how humane the company was, and said even if you do not do this job, someone else will. But Frank was distracted. He just wanted to get back to the company first. Then an alarm suddenly went off. Jacob's detector showed a large number of defaulters nearby. After this job, they could rest for at least 3 months. This made Frank waver. He thought about his wife leaving, but also could not let go of the money. He did not refuse immediately. Instead, he paused for a few seconds, as if weighing the cost of losing his family against the money. But in the end, Frank's greed won over reason, and he chose to do it one last time. The two armed themselves and entered an abandoned ship cabin, filled with defaulters, huddled together trying to survive a few more days. But the arrival of the repo men shattered their hope. Just as they were about to finish, Jacob got tangled up with someone. Luckily, Frank arrived in time to save him, but afterward they argued over who the client should belong to.
Thought you needed help. I had him. You see I had my knife in his side? I knocked him down. He goes on my camera.
You joking me, right?
Jay.
I've been working on this guy for 10 minutes. 10 minutes I've been working on this guy. You're gonna come in here and just hit him upside the head with a pipe?
Jay.
Soon after, they brought back a total of 32 artificial organs to the company. The company executives were very excited. It was a big deal they had not seen in a long time. They wanted the two to officially join the company, so they asked if they wanted to become full-time repo men. The part-time work already paid well, but becoming full-time would give them partner shares. Jacob was instantly tempted, but then Frank spoke up.
Meaning to talk to you about something.
Yeah. Forget that. Find somebody else.
Jacob could not understand what was wrong with their profession. From ancient times to the present, society had run on systems. People followed the terms of agreements they had signed, then acted according to the rules. All they were doing now was making those people pay a small price. In Jacob's eyes, the world had never been fair. The rules were clearly written. Loans were signed by choice. Defaults were also a choice. Since it had come to this, they should face the consequences. Under his persuasion, Frank was tempted again.
Job's a job.
To ease Frank's concerns, Jacob voluntarily gave up one job. A bankrupt rock singer had an artificial heart installed. Frank just needed to go and retrieve it. When Frank arrived at the singer's home, he found the man was calm. No resistance, no hysterical screaming. He only wanted to hear one last song. and that song happened to be Frank's favorite too. So the two sat down calmly together and listened to the song. Then they began the process. Based on past experience, Frank needed to use a defibrillator first to stop the artificial heart, so it would not hurt him during removal. But this time something unexpected happened. With a shock, Frank was thrown across the room and knocked unconscious. When he woke up, he found himself in a hospital. Jacob and the company executives were by his side, but his wife was nowhere to be seen. Jacob explained that the defibrillator malfunction caused the accident, then said no matter what happened, he would be there for Frank. This gave Frank a bad feeling. He slowly lifted the sheet and noticed 2 tubes were inserted into his heart. Turning his head, he saw an artificial heart connected to the other end. Furious, he rushed out of the ward and without a word pulled the tubes out. Blood sprayed out and his legs gave way, sending him to his knees, but Frank refused to accept this. He struggled to crawl forward, but after a few seconds, he had no strength left. Desperate, Frank had no choice but to accept the artificial heart produced by the company. The surgery was quickly completed. After applying the sealant, the wound would heal at the fastest speed, but this also meant he was now burdened with a huge loan. Worse still, his wife divorced him at the same time and kicked him out. At that moment, for the first time, Frank felt regret. If he had not swung the knife again and again for money, would he not be the one lying in the hospital bed today? But now regret was too late. Fate had not favored anyone. It only made him experience firsthand the despair that his victims had once felt. He had once taken lives on behalf of the company. Now it was the company taking his life away. In the face of rules set by capital, no one was truly a winner. Everyone was just a commodity waiting to be priced.